What's going on, you guys? This is Aaron from Departures Capital, and welcome to the video. In this video, we had the pleasure of interviewing the CEO of Trillium Gold, Russell Starr, on the future of the company and their awesome projects that they're up to in Red Lake, Ontario. Red Lake, Ontario is one of the most prolific mining jurisdictions in Canada and in the world, to be honest. And I'm really excited to start talking about this company. We're going to let Russell introduce the company and talk all about it for you guys. So thank you so much for watching. And last but not least, before we dive into this video, two quick things. The first thing is, if you support me, the channel, and all the videos, then I kindly ask for you guys to explode that like button. It takes 2 seconds of your time and it helps my videos so very much, along with if you are a new viewer to the channel. Haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, but you appreciate constant, steady updates in the markets. You like a nice, steady flow of new and exciting companies just like Trillium Gold, or you want to learn a little bit more about investing, of course, then don't forget to catch that subscribe button and ring the market bell for notifications. Let's get straight into this awesome interview. What's going on, guys? This is Aaron with Departures Capital. We're here with Russell Starr, CEO of Trillium Gold. How are you doing today, Russell?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm awesome. Excited to have you on, and I'm excited to talk about Trillium. So first, let's get your background. Just talk a little bit about yourself
Sure.
before we get into Trillium Gold.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So look, way too much time in school. I have 2 master's degrees, one in economics, an MBA. I started my PhD at McGill.
Wow.
Never really, didn't even actually finish the first semester. The head of the economics program had an in with RBC, and I ended up getting a job on the trading floor in their illustrious dealer training program, and effectively worked in different areas at RBC. Loved equities. It's a pervasive area in our lives, and yet it's something we never ever get trained for in school.
Exactly.
And spent almost 15 years in institutional sales, institutional trading, then in corporate finance. Started getting frustrated with the brokerage community, and said, wow, why don't I try to start my own firm? So me, myself, David Couson, and Rob first started a firm called Echelon Wealth Management, not owned by Peter Schiff, but similar brand. And then eventually bought Dundee Wealth and created what is now called Echelon Wealth Management. So I still own a piece of that. But inevitably just was also kind of dissatisfied or disenchanted with not having really built a company or been involved in building like some of these guys that I was covering and watching them, pitching them to clients and whatnot. So I'd met, and we were banking a guy by the name of Ivan Bebic, who I'm sure all of your listeners or people have been familiar with. It was a stock called Caden Resources. I joined as a senior management of the executive team there. I think at one point it was a $25 million market cap company, and we sold it to Agnico for $205 million in 2014. Terrible gold market, no 43-101, but a huge win and exit strategy for all our shareholders. And then we started another group of companies called Orin Resources, which is now Fury Gold Trading, and then 2 Peruvian assets, or 2 Peruvian companies. One, both in Peru. One a silver company, the other a copper company. I was going to run the silver company, and then literally was pitched and put Trillium in front of me. It was called Confederation at the time, and I was like, I love the Orange team. They're amazing. Ivan and I are still really good friends. This was just too good an opportunity to pass up. So that's a very long-winded background, but now where I sit today.
Awesome. So let's talk about Trillium now.
Sure.
Tell us all about the company.
So look, the junior market is exciting. It's, are you going to hit? There's a lot of stress involved. But every now and then you find these gems that have sat underloved with not enough attention paid to them, who are maybe misunderstood or misrepresented. And what really caught my eye with Trillium was, first of all, the Newman Todd asset, which was owned 50% by Confederation and 50% by Red Star, in 2013 had a $200 million valuation. So Trillium was 100 million and Red Star was 100 million. We now own 83.5% of that. So if you're comparing apples to apples, that's $167 million market cap that Trillium theoretically should have. And we sit with call it a 40 or $45 million market cap and 13 million bucks in the bank. So there's a real disconnect in the market still. It had 55,000 meters of drilling. Like I said, we now own 83.5% of it. So unlike a greenfield project where you're hoping to find some gold, of that 55,000 meters, 41% of every single drill hole hit greater than 10 grams per ton. And this is Red Lake, right? This is one of the most famous mining jurisdictions in the world. So you have this company that had a much bigger market cap, even on a 50% basis than where we're sitting today, owning more of it. And we literally embarked, we only had 1.5 million bucks in the bank. We're like, we're going to drill 3,000 meters. In our first 4 holes, we hit a plus 100 gram per ton hole, and
Wow.
still the stock hasn't gone anywhere. So it's just a huge opportunity. It's my job to do interviews with people such as yourself so that people can understand. Yeah, it's great. It's great to own gold. It's great to buy Barrick, but as everyone should know, the last to move, but the ones that move the most are the juniors.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a coiled spring. So
really exciting time. So let's talk a little bit more about Red Lake. Tell us about the area, why it's so important that you guys are in Red Lake.
Sure. Look, I literally just talked to you about Newman Todd. We have a few other projects that I think merit attention, but from a Red Lake perspective, you have the Red Lake mine, Koshner, you have frames and mills and mines everywhere. This is an area that's been drawn the attention of U.S. Gold bugs since the 1880s. These are some of the world's biggest mines. Red Lake, I think, was 25.8 million ounces of high grade gold.
Yeah.
And if you talk about what could be there, we own a property literally that sits at the boundary of the Red Lake mine, 350 meters away from their historical workings, and no one knows if the mine extends into our property. So if imagine if we drill there and we hit high grade, we have the continuation of the Red Lake mine. What do you think evolution is going to do if we have that? And it literally, the only analogy I can draw is Gold Eagle back in 2006, 2007. I was at Orion as an institutional salesperson. We did a financing with Agnico. I think they bought 20 or 40 million bucks of Gold Eagle stock, and it scared the crap out of Gold Corp. And Gold Corp ended up paying $1 billion for Gold Eagle. Gold Center is it's a direct analogy. It's a direct proxy to that exact same trade. We just don't have an Agnico or someone else to create that political tension. But what we do have is the property and the potential to drill it and discover major ounces. So Red Lake, the other thing I should say as well is Dixie is owned by Great Bear. Great Bear is down south, pretty far away from Red Lake. So you wouldn't truck any of that ore, but Red Lake is sort of famous for major high grade VG, and Dixie historically would have been viewed as a VMS deposit, but Bob Singh and Chris Taylor and the guys there have done such a good job. They've made a major gold discovery. It's $1 billion market cap. It's probably the next 5 million ounce mine in the area. And so they've found gold in structures that previously everyone thought would have been VMS type structures. So I think we're at the beginning of another major gold rush in Red Lake. But the beauty of us versus, and this is not even anything negative towards Great Bear, it's just we're so close to evolution. Their mills are not running at full capacity. Our 55,000 meters of historical drilling, add in another 20 or 30,000 meters, tie it all together and come out with 1.5, 2.5, or 3 million ounce resource. That's immediately mineable at evolution. So
I think the focus on high grade is awesome. So, you guys have done a significant amount of drilling already, 55,000 plus meters with a lot of high grade results. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, most of those results are 2010 to 2013 under Confederation, and ironically drilled by Bob Singh, who was running the drill program at Red Star, and he's now running the drill program at Great Bear. So this is a guy who knows his stuff. We just embarked on a maiden 3,000 meter program, and we just released our results and hit 7 of 15 in what we believe to be a new structure. One of our geos was like, wow, the gang's all here. This And what he meant by that is we have the high grade veins that you see that are typical in the Red Lake area. Then we have this massive disseminated breccia, which is the Newman Todd structure. But then we've hit this gold enriched magnetite structure, and literally have gone from running 1 kilometer an hour to 1,000,000 miles per hour, and are slowly catching up. We're relogging all the core, we're putting everything into Leapfrog, and so we're literally learning on the fly. But we'll mobilize another drill rig. When you hit 100 gram per ton hole, that's a once in a market type hole. I mean, you see other guys hitting it, but it's what draws the majors' attention when you see a plus the intersection. When you do that in your first 3,000 meters, you know you're onto something. So
Definitely super exciting. So what's the one thing you're most excited about for Trillium over the next 12 months?
well, that's a good question. Look, without telling you where or how, we're about to become the largest landholder in Red Lake. That will put us on the radar of the majors, just because owning big chunks of land is what moves the needle for them. Obviously, you have to find gold as well, but we're effectively putting together parts of the greenstone belt that Dixie sits on. So very, very excited about that from a blue sky perspective. But really, truly, what gives me the shivers, the tingles, whatever. We acquired a property called Rivard, which was our neighbor. It was mined, not even mined. It was mom and pop explored. They would take literally dynamite, blow up high grade visual gold veins on surface, and then pick the gold up, mine it, and pour buttons and bars and sell them. And then Rivard these high grade veins. That's like a supermodel, like the number one supermodel in the world. And when that decathlon champion marries the supermodel, what's their baby going to look like? And that's the intersection of Rivard and Newman Todd. So I guess really seeing what Newman Todd's going to be has got to be priority number one. But within priority number one is, what's that baby going to look like? Those high grade veins intersecting with Newman Todd. I mean, if that is what's mineralizing the Newman Todd structure, we are going to find a boatload of high grade gold. And then of course, gold center, right? Like these are deep holes, but you target the mineralization. The drillers up at Red Lake are very, very good. If you hit the continuation of the Red Lake mine, that's a 2 to 5 million ounce discovery in one hole that should add many, many hundreds of millions of dollars to our market cap.
Yeah, I think the opportunity is really awesome for you guys. So let's talk a little bit about gold now. I know a lot of people have different price targets. Do you have a specific price target, or where do you think it's going in the next couple of years? You know the factors that are going to drive it, but
yeah, well, as I say to people, look, I mean, I have a master's in economics. I started my PhD. I can actually speak intelligently to this. I mean, everybody's entitled to opinion, but I actually get what's going on in the background. So look, you've got the demise of the US dollar, the creation of the petro yuan. You can now settle oil in yuan or gold. You've got China and Russia basically buying all the gold in the world, and you've got the US printing dollars like they're going out of style with no gold. That's a pretty simple recipe for a weaker US dollar, and a much stronger price of gold. And if you're playing the long game the way the Asians and the Russians are, and you hold a lot of treasuries, but your hedge is being long gold, you can easily at some point sell your treasuries and sit long your gold as it continues to go higher. So that's probably a long-winded way of saying I think the US dollar is in real trouble. I've had friends come to me and say, well, come on, man, the US dollar hasn't depreciated at all. Everything's fine. The US dollar has actually depreciated almost 95% in the last, I think, 20 or 30 years. So that is just like patently false. Analysts would have us believe that. Analysts would have us believe that buying Twitter and Facebook at all-time highs is a better trade than gold. You had a neophyte in the States in Warren Buffett, who just hated gold, and yet just recently made a major investment in Barrick. What would you rather own? Something that is trading at all-time highs in a currency that's going down, or something trading at all-time lows in a company that's spitting out cash, making more money than they've ever made before, paying greatly rich dividends at near all-time lows. Like, what would you rather own? So the other interesting thing is, if you were to actually look at the statistics that the US used about 20 years ago, there's a great website called Shadow Stats. And look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. I'm just a math guy. But if you looked at CPI as measured 20 years ago in the US inflation is running at about 10 to 12% right now. Inflation is already rampant. All they've done is change the basket that they measure inflation on to try to protect the US dollar. But the reality is it's already rampant. You know, food prices are at all-time highs.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah. So all the data is there. It's just people need to wake up. They need to look at the underloved sector that no one's paid attention to because gold was on its knees for a decade. Gold is no longer on its knees. And like I was alluding to before, all these juniors are like coiled springs right now. They've moved a bit and everybody's like, oh, you've moved like 200%, but that's only 200 of 10,000%, 200 of 20,000%. Where do I think gold's going? Higher. I don't know. You get guys and gals who say 20,000, 5,000, 10,000. I don't know what the end run is going to be. I just know that the outlook on the US dollar has to be bearish. It can't be bullish.
Yeah.
You can't have the debt that the US has. You can't print the currency that it has and maintain a stable currency. And you know, gold is already trading at all-time highs in every currency except for the US dollar, and it's only a matter of time before the US dollar falls. So,
yeah, I think that's an awesome explanation. So thanks for that. And what's the best way for our viewers to get more information about the company, or where should they go?
So, look, I actually pride myself on having an open door policy. You can just go to our website, trilliumgold.com. You can look at any of our press releases and pick up our IR phone number and give us a call, or you can email our general box. But look, the reality is, I mean, if everybody wants my phone number, they can call me 647-669-9801. Every CEO should be available to their investors.
Agreed. Well, thanks so much. I know this is just our first interview, but we'll have a ton more on the way as things progress, and I really look forward to covering your story. So thank you.
No, Aaron, that's amazing. Thanks so much. And I apologize for the background. I'm in a hotel, so.
Not a problem.
All right, man.
Soon.
Talk to you later. Thanks.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Drop those comments below. Let me know what you think. And always remember, Departures Capital is for information, education, and entertainment purposes only. Don't buy or sell a stock because you heard it on here. Buy or sell a stock because you've done your research, you've done your thorough due diligence, and you're making your own personal investment decisions for yourself. This video is not financial advice. We'll see you guys in our next video.